Hello everyone, happy new month, the month of August 2021. We are excited to be back with this show, conversation with Rev Allan. And I want to take this opportunity just to welcome Janet Surum Kiplagat, lecturer at Kabianga University. It's always a pleasure to have you. Vika S.K. Belgut, Reverend Nicholas, welcome. And
Thank you so much.
to hand over this session to our host, Reverend Allan, just to give us what we are going to discuss this month of August. Welcome, Reverend Allan.
I welcome all of you to the month of August. Thank you, the panelists, and thank you, all of you that are following us. Many things have been happening, a lot of stories in newspapers, in media, television, radio, concerning a lot of evil that is happening in our society. We've seen people killing children after raping them. We've seen mothers killing themselves, strangling their children to death. We've seen fathers killing the entire family. A lot of things happening in our society. There's a lot of hopelessness and a lot of things. And this one has brought us to begin to think what's happening in our society. And that's why in this season, as we observe our society, that it's not the same society as we used to know. Now, this month, I want us to spend time understanding and discussing something that is called disintegrated society.
Thank you, Reverend Allan. This month of August, we want to discuss matters pertaining a disintegrated society, which brings me to my good panelists, just to give you a brief session to introduce this topic. I just want to ask, what defines a society?
Maybe I can start by trying to describe that which defines a society. First of all, a society, I would want to understand a society as a group of people. A society involves a group of people. That is a group. A group is a little bit bigger, not just not 100 people. A bigger group of people that they have a lot of active social interaction together. And this social interaction may involve economic interaction, it may involve education, it may involve politics, government. They share a lot of things under one territory at a particular time. It could be families of people staying within a certain area together. They share the same territory, the same leadership, the same politics, the same economy. That's what I would want to call it a society. And in our case, we can say our nation, Kenya, is a society called Kenya. Yeah.
A society can be defined by a name, like a nation, Kenya. Yes, Vika, what's your definition or your take on issues society?
Yes, we've heard that a society is a group of people, but then also we may include other things, activities. We can include animals. We can include environment. We can bring aspects to do with in those activities. There could be activities which are civil, others are religious, and so the sum total of that. And we may as well put the issue of time. And the time in this case is that these are people and their activities who at some point have consented to live in that particular place and dwell for as long a time as possible. And so in that case is that if you have as time immemorial and moving on and counting in terms of years, is that it forms that society.
Wow.
Yes.
Councillor Janet, any word on society?
First of all, thank you for having me here again. I appreciate. So I would say that in addition to what they have clearly put, one trait I would highlight about a society is that a society is pulled together or brought together by social order that has been set by elders, by what, not necessarily political or the intervention of the country. It is a social order.
Social order. Thank you so very much. With those definitions, we continue by maybe discussing, before we go to the disintegrated society, what are the compositions of a healthy society? What are some of the things that we can look around and say this society is healthy? Reverend Allan.
I think I would want to say a healthy society can be identified by cohesiveness. How the society is cohesive. Cohesive is how they are held together by their values, by their belief, by their pursuits, visions, dreams. That cohesiveness, in as much as there are competitions and everyone is looking for resources, but there are some rules that they together respect. This is how we are going to handle our things. This is how we are going to play by issues of our lives. So whenever you see that kind of cohesiveness, let us say if it is a society within a nation, and there are business opportunities that everyone is pursuing, and some people decide that we want to use some unorthodox method, we say that is not an integrated society. But if all of them follow by the rules, by the constitution, by the agreed put down rules, we say that society is cohesive, meaning that society is one, it is integrated. When people are coexisting in harmony, they have a lot of peace together. Not only physical peace, but even mental peace. What they are doing looks like there's a certain agreement. This is how we are going to be doing our things. There's always a norm, unwritten code on how people are going to operate within this kind of a society.
Thank you. What are some of the things we look around and see this is a healthy society?
Yes, a society, if we define a particular place and time and the people and their activities, it must become whole. It must be moving as a unit where everything is coming and fitting into its place. And when Reverend brings in the issue to do with norm, it's a rule, it's a law. It is a kind of a set standard where people are abiding to doing things, and also it is informed by by the beliefs in them, and the values, the system, and when they are working, and we look at the betterment of that society and say this is the ultimate good. So something that defines a society is to say, if every system, if every rule, if every activity, if every thinking is acting upon getting the ultimate good of that particular society, and the good can be relative in this case. Maybe we'll come later on and define what makes that one to be good. So for me, if we bring the issue of integrated society, it is when you piece together things and activities and the values and the people, it must produce a one good thing in that society.
Okay, Janet, what makes the society healthy or strong?
Now, when we look at the societal requirements of an individual, we have requirements for adults, for children, for women, for men. So in this case, if everyone goes as per the social order, be it children, be it men, and which has continuously bound us, even in our different societies, if everyone goes by that, if everyone lives by the social order of, like, for example, let us protect children. Children and women are supposed to be protected, not harmed, not killed. That is a healthy society. That is just an example. That is a healthy society. But now when we resort to killing children, harming them when we should be protecting them as adults, that is now one example of an unhealthy society.
Yes.
Maybe I can add something, as she speaks about social order. There must be a general agreement on how people have agreed to live within this society. Some kind of consensus. Sometimes it is spoken, sometimes it is just practice. And every time we come out of that agreement or consensus on how we are supposed to live, that one becomes the opposite of healthy. integrated society, there must be things like equity, resources must be available or distributed in a fair, a lot of fairness must always be there, peace, a lot of things that qualify that kind of society. And that's why sometimes you would hear some people in some extreme areas speaking about dark society. There have some consensus, some agreement that when they come to our society, we don't agree with them. But according to their society, they agree with them. Therefore, for a society to be integrated, it means there must be some kind of agreement, some kind of consensus on how people should live.
Which brings me to this discussion is leading me into another question that I would want us to lay a foundation as we discuss disintegrated society. I just want us to maybe begin with Janet, just to help us understand what is a disintegrated society. Given that we've discussed what is a healthy or a strong society, what is a disintegrated society? Because our focus this month is on disintegrated society.
Okay, fine. Still, I think I would still connect to the previous one because in one way or another, it is tied. Maybe you're asking for the characteristics or something?
Like describe it, we understand it. Help us to understand it.
Oh, okay. A disintegrated society is a society that no longer lives by the norms, by the values that have, most of these values, by the way, are not even stipulated. You grow up knowing that we are not supposed to do this, we are not supposed to do this. So a society that does not live by the implicit values or the explicit values that have been outlined. And it results in now the disintegration is where now people are not observing the values. That is where the disintegration comes in now. Yeah. The values. Yeah.
Yes, disintegration is that word. Well, when you put the dis, which means it is something that is lacking. Yeah, and so integrate means making all, bringing together things. And when you have disintegration in a society, it's a society where things are broken down, things are not adding up, things are falling apart. Yeah, be it rules, be it order, be it being pro-life, or things that people need to abide by, and so that they can live. And so when we break down the rules, when we are not following the rules and the laws that are set, when we are no longer enhancing life in our activities or in our beliefs, or when we are no longer attributing our values and our lives towards a deity, and in this case, if I'm a Christian, towards God, when I no longer believe in God, who is the creator and maker, then that life or that society is being said it is disintegrating. Yes.
Yeah, I would say it's a society that has collapsed. When we say it is disintegrated, we say this society has collapsed. When we say it is disintegrating, we are saying now our society is collapsing. Now it's a society that is collapsed. The structures of that society, that which keeps the society together, is now collapsing. Structures, their social structure, how they relate with one another, how they interact with one another is collapsed. Their economic structure, environmental structures, things that are keeping that society together. It could be religion. It is collapsing. How they used to worship, how they used to believe in God, how they used to respect one another, how they used to consider elders as authorities. It is collapsing. It's no longer there. People are doing things the way they want or they think best. People are becoming selfish in the way they are pursuing it. The way they approach environmental issues is like anybody that has a power saw can cut the tree at any time. They don't care, provided the tree is in your piece of land. Provided you gain, you don't care the larger what your actions implicates to the larger society. That's what we say, this society has disintegrated. You are doing things away from the social norms, the social order, not the way people are supposed. You don't have a collective way of doing your things. That's why we say this society has disintegrated.
Thank you. So we continue with, as we discuss about disintegrated society, we understand that it does not disintegrate by itself. There are factors, there are issues that trigger. And I just want us to discuss what are some of these issues that trigger and lead to a society disintegrating, which brings collapsing, fragmentation, and etc. Yes, Janet.
In my opinion, you see, now we have not done a research as such, but now we have what we have seen, what we have experienced. I would say that the biggest cause of this disintegration in the society is social change. Things have changed in the society. For example, there's a marriage and family breakdown. When children don't grow up in a family setup, when a marriage is broken, we have repercussions for that. You see, again, there's urbanization. Most of our children, even us who have children, they have a loss of identity. So when you don't know where you're coming from, how will you know where you're going? And so you have a tendency to break on the way, leaving out the social order, the social norms, the values that we have grown up with. Again, I would say urbanization, a lot of urbanization and secularism at that. And that's why you find people questioning the existence of God. You see, when we were growing up, that is not even something that would come into your mind, that God does not exist. So there's a lot of secularism that has been caused by a lot of exposure to the internet. The internet now is at our beck and call. So we can as well think about anything, Google anything, and do anything that we want. I guess also the overpopulation. So everyone is trying to find their niche, you know? You're trying to find your space. So in trying to find your space, there's greed. There's greed as a result. There's corruption. Everyone wants to have more because people have this scarcity mentality. Yeah, that is what I would say. Thank you.
Okay, Janet talks about urbanization, internet, a lot of growing away from our roots. Vika, what is your trigger or factors you would want to highlight that brings us into our discussion today concerning a disintegrated society?
Yeah. Maybe to pick up from where she left, and she's mentioned secularism, urbanization, but then or modern technology. But then I want us to also qualify and say, inherently, there is nothing wrong with us. Yeah, the advancement in terms of internet technology or in terms of infrastructure. But then she's also mentioned something to do with people fighting for maybe more resources to acquire to self, which is greed, which brings in the issue of being the morals and values. And so we may want to say that what causes disintegration is the lack of morals, the lack of common interests, where a person is looking at own selfish interests, the ego, wanting to satisfy self. And so that one brings us to fighting over little resources or more resources. If we are fighting to get the little resources, then that is, everyone wants to grab something for self. If we have a lot of resources, then maybe somebody is fighting to dominate, and to have as much as possible. So over time is that we've been having morals, and those morals are giving us the moral standing where we are saying this is wrong and this is right, this is bad and this is good. And so if we have those morals being varied, and we vary based on where we behave by getting different values, and we may not even call them values, but then we may want to call it different interests coming and conflicting with that which was originally the base of it. So for us is that that is what causes the problem. In fact, there was an article in one of the newspapers sometimes, and somebody was writing and saying we have killings in our society, we have abortions, we have corruption, we have, name it all the social vices. And then he asked a question towards the end of that article: what is wrong with society? And then somebody else actually responded to that question: what is wrong with society? And said, dear editor, and because the person was a kind of an editor, dear editor, concerning your question, what is wrong with the world? It is I who is wrong with the world. End of the answer. And so it is I, that ego, that me, that selfish desire, and you want your own way. If you put it in every sector, there are resources, and you want to take it for your own consumption. There are people, you want to have, say for example, you want to marry in a marriage setup, you want every man or every woman for yourself. Get it to everywhere, and it is like that ego, and that ego is not informed by divine or godly values. People have removed God from the world, and that is where the morals, and where technology, where urbanization, where everything does not add up to itself and does not give us the ultimate good.
Interesting contributions. Yes, Reverend Allan.
Now, I think they have exhausted. I would say, a philosopher would say, when man begins to pursue his personal good in the expense of the larger good, every time we abdicate our role in the society and we retreat into treating ourselves better, that is the time that now the society begins to disintegrate. All this other pressure will come. But if it finds a man that still values the larger good, we are able to withstand. But the moment we lose the sense for a larger good, and we coil inside for an individual good, now we begin to pursue that which we think will benefit us, that which we think will give us pleasure. Now, because I mind about myself, selfishness begins to creep in, greed begins to creep in. This is why you'd find somebody taking the resources that was meant for the entire society and make that resources to become individual. Now it's called individualism. It has crept in. It's about me, it's about I. Everything that comes is about me, it's about I. It's about my safety. I don't care whether other people have problem or not. It's about my provision. That's why you would see somebody has decided that I am going to change the direction of the stream to go into my piece of land, so that my land may be irrigated, not caring about those who are below him. It is about me. That's why you'll discover that somebody has decided to build something up in the air to protect him from the sun, not caring about what that one has effect to the vegetations, to the land. It's about me, it's about I.
Okay.
Number two, if I want to just to support what he has said, to help us, number one causes selfishness, greed. Number two is when man now begins to pursue his pleasure. He pursues his pleasure in regardless of other people's comfort. Now, whatever fulfills me, that's what matters. Whatever makes me happy, that's what matters. And then the world has become a global village. All cultures are now in our eyes. You choose what culture you want to follow. Now you become the judge of your own self. You decide what dressing code is your dressing code in regardless of your village. You decide the lifestyle that you choose, in regardless of how other people are feeling. And that's why in the Bible, Paul would say, if eating meat will make other people stumble, even if you believe meat is good for you, just for their sake. Nowadays, we have nothing for their sake. Everything is for my sake. That's why nowadays you hear people talking about my dressing, my choice. Obey your thirst. People don't care about other people. And then finally, broken society from the beginning, as he said. We are raising up people that the society was broken. They were wounded from the time they were born. Families are broken, everything. Therefore, people are growing up, trying to discover themselves, trying to defend, and there's vengeance in them. They end up killing and doing all those things.
Actually, the summary would be like, the society says this is the education system should promote the values of the society, but again there's a disconnect. In the education sector, we advocate for let the child follow their dream, let the child be themselves. The child has their mind, and then here the society, so the child is like being told, be yourself. And then the society comes in not like that.
God has been removed.
Yeah.
Man has become the source of law.
Yeah.
And not the society as a source of law. Individual is the source of law. I make my laws.
Interesting. Maybe to juggle our mind a little bit, we bring in the aspect of God. And even if you look at the Bible, still there are people who disintegrated society, and God was there. And the second thing is, I want us to discuss a little bit. Yeah, there are people who killed. Cain killed. And people did funny things, and God was still there. God was not removed. And I want to bring this issue of issues to do with betrayal, issues to do with mistrust, issues to do with pain, emotional pain, issues to do with disorders. Where do we place them?
I would say the issue of God that you have touched on it. I don't want to let it pass. God was still there. It was mentioned. People are still killing. When we speak about healthy society, we don't mean that evils will not be there. But there is always structures of dealing with those evil to minimize the extent. When Cain killed Abel, Cain was punished. He was banished. And when he was banished, it meant that other people knew that if I kill in this society, I will be banished. The law was there. But you can kill now, and again you're celebrated. Now, when David messed up with Uriah's wife and killed Uriah's wife, he was punished. And everyone saw that in this society there is God. Even if you hide from the eyes of men, God will still find you and punish you. That's why we say whenever God is removed, people become vulnerable. They make laws for themselves and they follow it. And that's why some politicians in the past would say, still, as long as you are not caught. Do whatever you want to do as long as you are not caught. But whenever there's God, a concept of God or a deity, there's someone that is higher. Even if you hide whatever you are doing, but is also seeing it. I would contribute by saying issues of
betrayal, mistrust, issues whereby there is revenge also. There is the issue to do with revenge. I was done, like you see these people who injure or harm children. They have a past. I was raped maybe at 11. I will do this. I don't know where those issues fall, because they are also triggers somehow.
Yeah, they are triggers, and this is what I always say. Because the society has not started disintegrating now. It started some time back, and we did not address. The issue is this: as long as us parents or our parents were broken because of one thing or another, for the issues of betrayal, trust, etc., we'll breed broken children, and the generation continues. Unless we come to a point where we address our inner child, talking to yourself and addressing those very uncomfortable thoughts about where you were hurt as a child, how you grew up, how your family was broken at some point, then the disintegration in the society will still continue. So as a psychologist, I say this, that it is time for the society, for each individual to take a backseat and address how they grew up. Look at how you grew up. what were your patterns? You can even ask your parents, if you're lucky that they are alive. You can ask them how you were as a child. Who handled you as a child? And then that way, we are able to heal and bring up healthy children. Otherwise, we pass on the betrayal, that mistrust. Mistrust is passed on. So we pass on the mistrust, we pass on the pain, because we do not know that we are suffering. So we bring up children who are also
social
suffering.
injustices.
Yes.
Also.
I would also want to say a broken life produces a broken society, and a broken society produces a broken life. Now, when a life is broken, we are raising up a generation of people that don't trust in the structures and institutions of the society. They are raised up to know that the society and its institutions cannot give you justice, and therefore they don't trust it. There is no remedy for what they are going through. So in their growing up, they know that I have to fight for myself and I have to avenge myself. Again, when they are growing up in such an environment that they don't trust the society anymore, they desist from believing in a collective society. They begin to believe in an individual. As long as I am happy, as long as I am peaceful, as long as I am okay, about others it doesn't care, because there was a time I was wounded by the society, somebody in the society, and nobody took. Like, for instance, take a small girl that was raped when she's in class 1 and she cannot tell her mother, and she was raped by a family member and she cannot tell anybody. A society has already wounded this child, and she will never integrate with the society. She will keep on saying the society is bad. As long as personally I am okay, it doesn't matter about the other person. Actually, as you are saying, a broken life, a broken society, a broken life, a broken society, passed from one generation to generation. As many people are getting wounded and hurt, we keep on getting. You remember the Dr. Njenga speaking about the history of those who have been killing the miners. They say all of them have a common story. All of them had childhood problem. All of them had childhood problem. The ones that messed up, that are killing. So they are only carrying it. The society wounded them. They are wounding the society.
Okay. That's very interesting thoughts. Thank you for speaking to us and clarifying issues. We take a short break. Follow us on our YouTube page, Facebook page, the Center, Alan Kiombe, and join the conversation this August of Disintegrated Society. We'll be right back. Welcome back from our short break as we continue discussing disintegrated society this month of August. We just continue with a few introductory questions as we will be discussing deeper things that are touching our society today. And I want the panelists in front of me, that is Janet Surumkiplaga, Vika, SK Nicholas, Reverend Nicholas himself, and our host, Rev Allan, just to give us common examples that we see that the society is disintegrated. What are some of these common examples that we see that bring us to this discussion table today of a disintegrated society?
The most, I think, that is common now is the senseless killings. Yeah. What is going on? People, spouses killing each other, children being killed, being mutilated, being raped, and this younger generation of the ones who are still dating, so they cannot tolerate each other. A very intolerant society.
They cannot tolerate no for an answer.
Exactly. They cannot tolerate no. And once I was giving an example, and I was saying this, during our time, you would go out on a date with someone, they would buy you lunch, but in no way would you be accountable to them. You just tell them, no, I'm not interested in you.
Strings attached.
There are no strings attached. But this generation does not know how to take in.
Every chips is attached to something.
To sex, basically, and to a lifetime relationship. So I would also say it has brought about sexual deviance. The homosexuality issues, etc., is as a result of disintegration. People are saying that I am now self-aware. I've realized that I'm a man-woman, or I'm a woman-man. So
I'm a man-man, I'm a woman-woman.
Oh yes, I'm a man. I'm
a man-man and I'm a woman-woman.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So people are now realizing that. It has also led to a lot of injustices that have been brought about by corruption, unemployment. unemployment in our country is not really because there are no jobs. It's because some people, even who are not qualified for some jobs, have someone they know, and so they are put there. That is social integration. And also I would say hurt people. It has really brought a bitter generation. That's why you see when you're on the internet, for example Facebook, you see people commenting so bitterly about people they don't know. Keyboard warriors, always on the lookout for their prey. You are just somewhere in Kericho and you're hurting someone in America, and you feel so good about yourself, showing that within yourself there's so much pain. Sadists. Yes.
Thank you. Some examples pick up from the church.
We find a lot of examples, but then in a nutshell is that I want to tell everyone that have you seen people break the 10 commandments? The 10 commandments, people don't worship God. They no longer think of God as a creator. People who no longer worship God, simple, people don't attend church. Or even when COVID is being said, okay, close the churches, they don't even worship at home. People who are irreligious, we may not say they don't believe in God, but then when they don't believe in anything, they're just existing. Talk about the commandments: do not kill, do not commit adultery, do not covet, do not bear false witness. What's happening in our courts? What's happening in our villages? Everything is not adding up. And so with the examples, we may mention every social vice in our lives, be it in church, or be it in a government office, or be it in a village, and the things that do not edify life, do not edify God. Those examples are enough to tell us we are dismembered as a society.
And also issues that do not uphold the sanctity of life.
The sanctity of life.
Yeah, it is easy for you to kill, it is easy for you to maim.
Life has been taken like just any other thing.
It's easy for you to walk away from a covenant relationship or deal. So these are some of the things that are...
I would add, the end justifies the means. It doesn't matter what you do to get what you want, as long as you get what you want. Nowadays, success is measured by what you have, not how you acquired it. People have abdicated the place of a process. They just want a product. That's why we have very young millionaires nowadays, 18 years, 19 years. You don't care how they traveled into that journey, whether they broke the bank, whether they got government tenders, whether they killed somebody and got their resources. As long as they are millionaires, the end justifies the mean. Nowadays, we are in a place whereby we justify evil, we debate around evil, and we qualify evil. That's why nowadays we don't have adultery. It's not called adultery anymore. It's not called fornication anymore. Nowadays,
we have cleansed some names.
Yeah, we have given them some names. It's just a choice. Actually, these are seasons. Homosexuality and lesbianism is called sexual orientation. In the past, it was not orientation. It was a challenge that we were praying for and doing a counseling to overcome. But nowadays, even though it's less than 1% of the population, we even want to encourage more. That's why funds are being provided for them. That's why we say our society is disintegrated. Look at the names of sin that we have nowadays. We used to have killers. Nowadays we have serial killers. Serial killer, somebody that has killed many people. They go they are arrested. Tomorrow you find them out. They kill another one. They are taken to jail. You find them out, like you had the other story. The father knew that the son is in jail, and the son is in Nairobi. He has killed 13 children, and he had killed and he was in jail. So that's how the society is. People do not have faith in the societal structure. They take law into their own hands. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You just do. We have a mob mentality in this particular time. It's a mob mentality. We just do what everyone else is doing. We are flying everywhere. Look at the wanton corruption. Greed is so high, at its highest. Nowadays, the resources distributed to government institutions, they never get to the public. It is just divided in the eyes of the public. And the public celebrates a thief these seasons. The public celebrates. If I steal from the three of you and I become wealthy, you begin to celebrate me.
Now we cry, and then others that have benefited from your stealing, they celebrate it.
And then since I will come and give you some money, you also feel very happy that I'm very good.
You've stolen from me, and then you've given somebody else. So your group that has benefited from your stealing are the ones who will support you. The
Church,
three of us will be crying.
Church no longer speaks about sin. We speak about just feeling good. Yeah, feeling good, living well, how to get rich. Actually, the message of the church of the moment is how to get rich, how to prosper, all those things. That can be done by colleges. Universities can do those things. We no longer preach the gospel. So I think even in the church, the society has disintegrated. Yeah.
Interesting. Which brings me to the very last reflective question that will help us build this conversation this month is, where does this leave us as individuals, as families, as a society? After after discussing all this, what is your feeling? As we're about to wrap up this show, I will begin with Janet. What is your reflective thought? Then Vika, and then Reverend Allan will close the show for us. Yes.
My reflective question is, first we agree, thoughts. First we agree that the society is disintegrated. But then now I ask each and every one of us, how are you contributing to the disintegration? What is this thing that you're doing that is continuously making the society disintegrated? What is the role that you're playing? So analyze yourself, assess yourself, and be honest with yourself. The society begins with me. I am the society.
Wow. Yes.
Yes. She says, I am the society. And so that one, I, then brings us to all. And where we need to say what needs to define us. Yeah. And sin should not define us, you see. Brokenness, disintegration needs to not to define us. What we need to find our Eden. Rediscover our Eden. Yeah.
Where,
the Garden of Eden.
Where disintegration began.
It began there.
Yes, it began there. And so for us is that today, because since time immemorial, when we left God in that garden, because it is us who left God, then we began disintegrating. And society has never become the same again. So maybe in the next few days, we need to reflect upon where did that rain start beating us.
Thank you.
Thank you. At least you've made me remember fall from grace. Mm-hmm. Humanity and society fell from grace. And we normally say sin is the origin of all this evil. But I would end by saying the society is sick, very sick, and when we have a contagious disease in a place, and we normally say almost everyone is infected with this sickness in one way or another, and we need to arrest this society and bring it back to the hospital and to start a treatment process of our society, which can be a generational journey, but it can always start with me and us going forward. We need to begin to diagnose the disease deeper. And I think that's where we are headed to. We need to diagnose the ailment deeper and try to come out with a solution. And I always say, you don't need the crowd to change a society. You need an individual to change a crowd, then the crowd will change a society. So it will start with us as it keeps on going forward. I still believe and I still trust that God will help us, and the power of the Holy Spirit that brings transformation will bring a transformation to our society, and we are going to experience a society that is healed, a society that is whole. Let us not give up hoping and trusting. I still trust about the people that I know, that they will rise up again. I still trust that these structures that are broken, they'll be rebuilt again. And this is not the first time that humanity or society is broken. All along in the history of the Bible and other histories, the brokenness has always been there. But there's a way always that has happened, and there was a restoration. That we are going to be agents of restoration. We are sick, we need to go to the hospital, we need to start treatment. Thank you.
Interesting time with these wonderful people, and it is August, the month of disintegrated society. We will discuss as far we can reach and as much we can be able to talk it out. It is something that needs to be addressed, something that needs to be looked into, and we pray that this month of August will bring healing and wholeness to you. It is from us to you. It is Conversation with Rev Allan. I've been your moderator, Vivian Kibeu. See you next time, and in this panel as we discuss disintegrated society. Thank you. Stay well.